All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's Tuesday, December 13th, 2022 at 7 o'clock. Let's roll call. Let's start at my left.
Homer, City Council Member.
Dr. Joseph Ford, City Council Member.
Shelby Carsolari, City Council Member.
Ronnie Price, Mayor.
Mike Warrington, City Council Member.
Troy Weber, City Council Member.
Tim Berry, City Council Member.
Butt Buchanan, Police Chief.
Donna Davis, Chief Financial Officer.
Lance Onstadt, Assistant City Administrator.
Chad Russell, Fire Chief.
Rick Lance, Director of Public Works and Utilities.
JT Klaus, City Attorney.
Jessica Williams with the City Attorney.
Les Mangus, Director of Community Development.
Susan Renner, City Clerk.
Jennifer McCausland, City Administrator.
All right, this time, Rick Neubauer with Augusta First Baptist Church is going to lead us in invocation. How you doing, sir?
Very good, sir. Thank you. Well, let's pray. Well, Lord God, we thank you. We come before you tonight. We thank you for your presence here with us. And tonight, I just pray that you would bless our elected leaders and our appointed leaders with wisdom and discernment as they continue to lead and guide us here in our Andover community. We pray that you would bless them, watch over them, and keep them. For us in community, we pray that as we're just 12 days short of Christmas, we pray that you would help us to live in a spirit of love, joy, peace, and the hope for a better year to come. We pray that you would watch over us as well. Just bless all of our families, keep us well, and keep us safe. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Rick, you're part of the, technically you're part of the Union Rescue Mission, right?
I'm the Director of Ministry there now, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up and let everybody know what you do, because that's something I'm partial to. Thank you. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh. Rick, I got a question. Would you talk to us about that a little bit? The Union Rescue Mission, for people that don't know. My mentor worked out there for many years, so I don't know how many people know what you do. And
Okay, Union Rescue Mission is the largest men's homeless shelter in the state of Kansas. Typically on any given night, we have between 150 and 180 men that are staying there. About 60 of those are in residence programs trying to get over their homelessness, learning job skills, overcoming addictions, whatever it is, the obstacles that brought them to homelessness. And the other are emergency shelter guests that come off the street every night. They come to get a meal, they come to get a warm place to stay, especially this time of year, and a safe place to stay. We did almost 100,000 meals last year, served 100,000 meals. So again, it's needed, and there's always more work to do.
all right.
So
And they accept donations.
yes, we do.
All right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, sir. Sorry
Right, I
about
didn't
that.
bring out my missionary handshake tonight. So how you doing?
All right. And with that, we'll open up the floor for public forum. If you'd like you have something to say, you want to talk to us about, feel free to do so. State your name, your address, and keep it short. Any takers? All right. Public forum is closed. Acceptance of agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Citizens request, Daniel Shea Paul, 7-1 custom reservation packages for Booger Battles 2023.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've got several special reservation requests for you this evening. 2 new ones and an amendment to a previous one we worked on August 30th. This brings us up to 10 special events planned so far for 2023. So we're starting to fill out that calendar nicely. We've had some meetings with a couple of folks from the Kansas Elks Training Center for the Handicap, Paula Hanna especially. They'd like to have an event move their event, the annual Burger Battle, from Wichita out here to Andover. This will be the 10th year they've done it. And so I'd like to come out here to our venue. A quick summary would be a similar setup to the Taco Fest that you saw this last year. Vendors, other activities, family friendly. It would be a ticketed event. And then a small concert at the end of the show. Today, for your consideration is a custom reservation rate that Rick and I have worked on since we're still missing lodge facilities, as you're aware. That rate would be $4,500 since it's a nonprofit. And then also the traditional closure of the venue, which is Central Park south of Bush Parkway. Also under your consideration is the approval to vend and sale and consumption of alcohol. And I can answer any questions if you have any about this particular one.
Anyone?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the Kansas Elks Training Center custom nonprofit rate of $4,500 and approve the closure of Central Park south of Bush Parkway from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 5th, 2023. Allow for the sale of goods and services, including food trucks to vend, and allow alcohol sale and consumption in Central Park during their reservation.
Second, Troy.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Second one for your consideration tonight, we've got Nana again here from Festive ICT. He's the main promoter for the Taco Fest that I know a few of you went to and enjoyed this summer. Similar proposal here for your consideration. Again, because of the loss of some of our traditional facilities, we'd like you to consider a custom reservation package fee. And again, the Central Park closures south of Bush Parkway, the approval to vend, and the approval for alcohol sale and consumption. And obviously Nana's here tonight too, if you had any follow-up questions that he or I could answer for you, or we want to reminisce on the good time that you had at Taco Fest.
Mr. Mayor.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
Daniel, it kind of came up last night when we were at the workshop, but when we're talking about the sale of alcohol and then the food trucks, is there a percentage then given back to the city?
On these privately promoted events, there's not. At our city-sponsored events, when those food trucks arrive, we do collect a percentage for them to vend.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor.
What numbers did we hit last year? I say we were in this together. Do you have any idea?
Yes, we did about 3,000 people last year. And obviously that was a little down from the previous years because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We're basically in the rebuilding process of the festival. But we do believe that with this amazing venue here that fits our model, and working with Rick and his team, this year was an amazing experience. We think that we can definitely surpass the numbers that we had before. And with us, we're just trying to find a home. So we want to say thank you for the consideration of the price reduction. Thank you.
Yeah. It was unusually hot that day too, if I remember correctly.
Well, I can do some things, but I can't really change the weather.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Will it be marketed as Wichita Taco Fest or Andover Taco Fest, or how will you be planning to do that?
We take off Wichita and Andover and we just market it as a Taco Fest, basically, because the goal is to get people from Andover, from Wichita, and also the surrounding areas. Now, the social media page says Wichita Taco Fest. That's just what it is. But in the branding, like the posters, the emails we send out, it just says Taco Fest. And we go out of our way to promote the venue and showcase that as well.
And it's ICT, not Wichita, correct?
Yes, ICT.
Yes. So, okay. Thank you. Not a big deal. We're just asking a question.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the custom reservation package of $5,000 for the 2023 Taco Fest to be held at the Capitol Federal Amphitheater on June 17th, 2023. Approve the closure of Central Park south of Bush Parkway from 10 a.m. until 10 p.m. on June 17th, 2023. allow for the sales of goods and services, including food trucks to vend, and allow alcohol sale and consumption in Central Park during their reservation.
Second.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir. 7-3 Music Theater Wichita 2023 Reservation Package Amendment.
Council, as you might recall, we visited this item on August 30th. And we originally approved a series of dates, or you originally approved a series of dates that Music Theater Wichita would occupy the Capitol Federal Amphitheater. Since then, we've met with Angela Cassette, you're all familiar with. They need to adjust the timing and dates of a portion of that earlier request. Essentially, reducing, it's a reduction of the needs at the venue. And instead of 9 performance days, we're looking at 5 performance days from May 9 to June 8th. And then the remainder of the traditional, or we would keep the remainder of the approvals that you already granted on August 30th. And Angela's here tonight if you have any questions about that, and I can help as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I'll just ask it, who's our competitor in this?
Sure. So we are moving to Botanica in Wichita, and the reason for it is really budgetary. It's completely budgetary, and it's not actually about your rental rates. It's really about how much do we build out and what are all the ancillary costs involved. We spend about $8,000 per production on portable toilets alone. You know, we spend a lot of money on private security, especially overnight, and then just building out the venue to meet the needs of the productions that we have. We love this venue, and we're really excited about being out here for Rock of Ages. But when we started looking at our 2023 budget, we had a pretty huge deficit on a $5 million budget. So you know how it goes. We started looking at everything we could to figure out how to reduce expense.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Yes.
This is going to sound kind of harsh, but if you needed to cancel a show at Century 2, would they let you out and without, we've already signed a contract?
We don't have a contract.
Okay, so you can tell them, hey, we don't want these dates anymore, and they'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, just wasn't for sure how.
Yeah,
that
once
worked.
we sign a contract, that's a different issue, but we actually haven't signed a contract with the city of Anchorage.
We do enjoy having you all here. It's good for our community, and I think it's just our venue's the best spot around, so we kind of partial to it.
It's a great place.
Yeah,
It really is.
So however many dates, we're glad to have you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And I guess I'll just make one comment that it looks like, Daniel, the math on it was for the 9 shows, it was $45,000, dividing that in piece by 5,000 each. So we're just multiplying the remaining 5 shows by 5,000 to come with the 25,000. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve an adjusted reservation rate of $25,000 for Music Theater Wichita's use of the Capitol Federal Amphitheater from May 9th through June 8th, 2023, and to maintain the previously approved closure of Central Park south of Bush Parkway, the selling of goods and services on public property to include food truck vending, and to allow the sale and consumption of alcohol on the 5 performance days during this period.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. 8-2. Tom, you got it? Mag, how did you say that?
8-1.
Oh, did I skip one? I'm in a hurry. Oh, that's a pretty important one. 8-1. 8-1, employees milestone 2022.
Mayor and Council, thank you for changing this to where we don't do this annually, we do it quarterly. It's been a very blessing to be able to have people, while they're here, to be able to do it close to their anniversary date. We did miss Deshaun Smith. It wasn't anyone's fault but mine. I wasn't working. I wasn't here that day, and that wanted to make sure we're here to be able to give him his 5-year milestone. So just to say a little bit about Deshaun, I won't go long on these because I know we have a very packed house and busy night. But Deshaun began his career with Andover in 2017, but his career goes further than that. Come on up, Deshaun. Should have got you here earlier. But he started originally from KLATC from Emporia. So he worked there for a few years, and he had the opportunity, him and his family, to move to the Rose Hill area in 2015. Now, something about Deshaun is he kind of blew me off. Here I'm trying to recruit him to come down here, and he chose Rose Hill over me. So it's like, really? And I still got him back, so it's okay. So Deshaun's progressed pretty good through the department, fairly quick, less than 5 years. He's been a Master Patrol Officer 1, 2, and 3. Because of his experience through other departments and us, he was able to promote pretty quick. And then when he was promoted to sergeant just this last year, he's held the position of patrol officer, SRO, K9, which he currently is a K9 and a sergeant at the same time, a field training officer, recruitment officer. So he does quite a bit with the department. Some interesting facts about Deshaun. He's a former football player for Butler and Emporia State. Didn't you guys win the national? Yeah, he won the national when he was with them. Can't tell by his size, but I mean, obviously he's pretty small guy. Where he received his bachelor's degree from Emporia State in sociology and a minor in criminal justice. So we do thank Deshaun for his 5 years of dedicated service. Mike? It's the other way around. He thinks it's interesting what I'm going to say, but it's always the other way around. It's like, okay, Mike's up here. What's he going to say? I got the mic today. Mike. So interesting, of all people, Mike began his career on October 31st, fitting, in 2012. So he's going on 12 years with the department. And prior to coming to Andover, he was a corrections officer at El Dorado. He also spent, and this explains a lot, and I'm not trying to bash any military, I was military, but he was a Marine for 4 years, okay? His favorite, and he will admit this, is not making fun of him, we did this all day today, his favorite color is red, as far as crayons, yes. So Mike graduated from Columbia Southern University with an associate's degree in criminal justice. He was a patrol officer, Master Patrol Officer 1 and 2, and then he was promoted to detective in 2016. And then eventually lieutenant in 2019. So that wasn't my promotion. That was Chief Keller. So I can't take the blame for that one on this one. No, seriously, Mike's been a phenomenal person to change roles. Some of his duties include investigations commander, where he's currently at right now. I mean, all the bling you have on here is just a lot of the work, stuff he's put in. He's currently one of 3 drone pilots, certified FAA drone pilots. Make sure we say that because not everybody's a certified pilot. He's one of them. A firearms instructor, field training officer, criminal intelligence officer, armor, professional standards commander, business outreach manager. Mike does a lot, and a lot behind the scenes, especially these investigation sections. They've been short for more than a year now. So he's done an amazing job keeping down the fort during a tough year that we've had. So just amazing person to lead the investigation section. So here's to a great 10 years and hopefully 10 more.
Good evening, Chad Russell. I'm your fire chief. Jeremy Tuxhorn, the little guy in the back.
Yeah.
It is my honor this evening to present a 5-year award to firefighter Jeremy Tuxhorn. Jeremy is quite a guy. I love walking in and seeing him, his face, because while he doesn't have a smile all the time, he does have a good attitude. And I really appreciate his positive attitude around the firehouse. He was the driver of the rescue the night of the tornado. So he was out there with the first in crew, working hard for our community. Don't do it, Mayor. I'll do it with you. He loves engaging with the community. He attends every event I looked back over the last year, and every single time we were doing something, Jeremy Tuxborn was there. He's a great member of our fire department family. That's what we call ourselves. He's always there to help with tasks. You will not find him sitting down while other folks are working. He is up helping out every time he gets an opportunity. He has been a solid voice in the fire station design committee. So there would be a lot of times where someone like me, who's been in the office for longer than I care to admit, would say, well, I think this is a good idea. And Jeremy was one of the first guys to speak up and say, yeah, I think you're wrong there. This is what my perspective is. And I would say, you know what, that's right. That's much more accurate. So he was always there to make sure we were going in the right track. Not only is he an educated trainer and experienced personal trainer, but he also stepped up to be a peer fitness trainer at the fire department. That meant he spent time away from his family at home to go get trained as a peer fitness trainer to train the other firefighters in their physical abilities. He single-handedly assures the kitchen and fridge are taken care of. So they not only tease him about his ability to make sure the ice cream is not being stored too long, but I also lovingly call him Captain Kitchen, because every time I walk in to make my meal, he's right in the middle of making his. So we do a little dance every third day. He also takes care of a huge task, which is planning for our annual hydrant testing. More than 1,000 fire hydrants, and this guy makes sure that they all get done what is supposed to be done with them. Jeremy is a valued member of the Andover Fire Rescue family, and the community is absolutely better off because he chooses to serve. So thank you for your 5 years of service, young man. There you go.
I don't know if y'all know this, Vince, we're talking about firefighters, tornadoes, and all that entails. Andover was on the Weather Channel, and they did a show about Andover specifically called Deadline to Disaster, and it's a very good show. It aired last Saturday or 2 weeks ago Saturday, and Chief Russell represented us very, very well, and I appreciate it, sir. But good job. All right. And you might want to watch it. But I'll give you a warning. You might want to have a hanky handy or Kleenex handy, because it's very touching and very special. So I don't need one, Chief, but you might need one. All right, 8-2. Now let me try to mess this gentleman's name up again. 8-2, Tom, how do we say it? McGoy. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I had to ask as well. So you will notice that even if you don't spend very much time around firefighters and police officers, these men and women aren't very excited when they are recognized. They certainly appreciate it. But it is not a job you do to get recognition. So Captain Cullinane, then Lieutenant, was very excited when he learned that I nominated him for really, I was going to say in my opinion, but that's not true, really the largest and most significant fire service award there is in the state of Kansas. And he certainly earned it. So since he's doing his duty, let's make him stand up here with me awkwardly. Yeah. I'll be brief.
Thank you. Were you betting on that, Chief?
Well, so I will apologize for the Kansas State Fire Marshal Doug Jorgensen. He has planned on being here for the last 2 months. Yesterday, he was at home doing some stuff and tweaked his back. Thought he would be okay, drove to work this morning and said, there is no way I can drive all the way to Andover and back to Topeka tonight. So he called this morning and said, I am so sorry. I'm not going to be able to be there. Let's reschedule. And I said, no, we're ready to do this. Let's go ahead and do this. So Doug sends his best to you, Captain Cullinane, and to our community, and he thanks us for providing Captain Cullinane to serve. He asked me to read the introduction to the Tom McGoy Fire Service Award. This year marks the 51st year of the presentation of this award. It is named in the honor of Wichita's 8th fire chief and presented annually at the Kansas State Association of Fire Chiefs Conference by the fire chiefs, the Kansas State Firefighters Association, and the State Fire Marshal's Office for service above and beyond the call of duty. On the evening of Thursday, November 21st, 1968, a fire alarm was received from the Yingling Chevrolet Company in Wichita, Kansas. While fighting the fire, the roof collapsed and Fire Chief Tom McGoy, Chief Fire Inspector M.O. Wells, firefighters Dale Mishler and Jimmy Lee Austin were trapped under tons of burning debris and twisted steel. In 1971, in memory of Chief Tom McGoy, his fellow firefighters, and this tragic event, the Office of the State Fire Marshal, the fire chiefs, and the firefighters adopted the Tom McGoy Fire Service Award to be presented at the Fire Chiefs Conference to the fire department and the firefighter or firefighters whose bravery and courage went above and beyond the call of duty. This year, 4 nominations were received for the award and were reviewed by the Chiefs Association, the Firefighters Association, and the State Fire Marshal's Office. The nomination of Captain Stephen Cullinane from Andover Fire Rescue Department was selected as this year's recipient. Briefly, the incident that, let's clap for him. So the incident that created this unfortunate award was that Captain Cullinane, then lieutenant, was on shift and we were called to a house fire. When we arrived on scene, we didn't do anything. When Captain Cullinane and his crew arrived on scene, there was light smoke showing from the front door. He made it to the front door, and we always try to get a 360. Let's see what everything is, what the hazards are, where the fire is. He was able to get part of a 360, came back, and one of our Andover finest was at the front door and said, "I think there's somebody trapped." We had no information that anybody was trapped up until this point. Didn't matter. Cullinane was hustling the whole time. So as he knelt down at the front door to put his mask on, he was able to see under the smoke that was banked down to about knee level, and he thought he heard a woman's voice. He was able to see legs walking left. He told his partner, "Hey, I'm going to go there's a woman right there. I'm going to go grab her." He went in. The smoke conditions weren't too bad in the front room, and he was able to grab the lady and just usher her outside. In the meantime, she says, "My husband's trapped in the back room." So what we didn't know was there was a elderly veteran who only had one leg. He was not able to remove himself from the back room because there was a step. By the time Captain Cullinane made his way back to the gentleman, he was very near to collapse and was really unable to hold himself up any longer. Captain Cullinane threw the man over his shoulder and made his way back outside, presenting the gentleman to the medical staff who transported him to the burn center. Captain Cullinane and his crew worked their tails off every single day to be ready to go for when that one chance we get to make a rescue. He's embarrassed because he's up here because it was a team event, but he works just as hard as anybody else and a lot harder than most. And those are the reasons why I fully believe that Captain Cullinane is very deserving of the highest distinguishment any firefighter can get in the state of Kansas, the Chief Tom McGoy Award. Congratulations. He's also a man of few words.
All right. Consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
move to approve consent agenda items 9.1 through 9.6 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Stephen, we'll hold up if you'd like to talk.
Troy.
All right, 10, sitting, set hearings for unsafe structures. Chip will talk to us about that, and it would be 10-1, 10-2.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's been a few weeks since I've had to do this. We are finishing up the tornado homes. So I have two more to bring to you tonight. These are on South Andover Road, 1501 and 1501 and 1485. Both these houses received severe damage. If you look at the photos, you can see this one right here was just the roof was just destroyed on this house. The broken trusses everywhere. They have made an attempt to cover it. It's a pretty weak attempt. This property is covered with debris and damage. There's also an abandoned vehicle on this property. So this one in particular, or these two in particular, there is no tornado funds collected by the city for these. So we do not want to hold the 15% in reserve. So we will cover the cost to remove these homes. The funds will come out of the building and code enforcement reserve fund that we have. We have roughly $50,000 in it right now, which will cover the cost of these two homes. Next council meeting, I'll have a few more to bring to you. So what we're doing tonight is we're basically setting the dates for the hearings. And we'll go ahead and continue to work through these, continue to try to make contact to the homeowners, and both the United Way and myself have tried and we've had no luck. So we'll just take these as far as we can and then go ahead and have the hearing.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I do want to make one point. We will bill the homeowners for the demolition of these homes. If it is unpaid, then we will certify the cost. So these will not be, and ultimately they won't be Andover taxpayer dollars. There will be a period of time in which Andover taxpayer dollars may float those costs, but that is allowable under statute as well.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, United Way hasn't contacted anybody. Chip hasn't contacted anybody. What happens to the property then when it's, bare or demolished, and what's the next step after that, I guess?
From our point of view, once it's safe and secure, I suppose it doesn't much matter. I mean, they would owe annual property taxes, and after 3 years of non-payment of those, and I have no idea where they are on that process and if those are up to date or not. I don't know the situation of the homeowner. But at that point, there's the possibility for a sheriff's sale if the people have just left. But I do not know what the situation is.
Okay. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body of the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair or demolition of a structure at 1485 South Andover Road that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be set for January 31st, 2023 at 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 10-2, 1501 South Andover Road.
Correct. This is the house at South Andover Road, as you can see from the photos. The majority of the windows have been blown out by the tornado. The roof is missing. Trusses have been torn off the house completely. These walls are beginning to bow in on the home. This home is unsafe and needs to be torn down immediately. So once again, we hold the money, or we have the funds to pay for this. Demolition will come out of the building reserve that we hold. Once the demolition is complete, we'll assess the homeowner, like Jenny said, we'll assess the homeowner for the cost. If they don't pay it, we can certify that to their tax assessment.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution fixing the time and place and providing notice of a public hearing before the governing body of the city of Andover, Kansas, to consider the condemnation and ordered repair or demolition of a structure at 1501 South Andover Road that is a public nuisance, dangerous, or unsafe. Said public hearing shall be set for January 31st, 2023, 7 p.m. at 1609 East Central Avenue, Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Amend 2022 budget, public hearing, 11-1.
Mr. Mayor, in a little bit, we'll ask you to open a public hearing for the 2022 amended budget. Just a real brief summary, once again, of the items that we're amending. This is just an annual cleanup project to make sure that we're in legal requirements of making sure we don't expend anything that's not in the budget. The first one is the ARPA monies that were received through the American Rescue Plan Act. The city has opted to allow usage of some of those funds for revenue replacement. For 2022, those purposes included wages of $230,500 and enhancement to fire and park services of $800,000. Water utility, we did some capital projects that had city at large portions that came out of this in 2022, so we needed to amend the budget for that. Street improvements, this is the sales tax fund. Some of the projects, rehab projects originally slated for 2021 were not implemented until 2022. And in addition, there was the adjustment of the cost for 159th US 54 to Central. And the Heritage Road projects were updated to reflect current pricing. And the last item was North Andover Road was moved up from 2023 to 2022. We're also amending the recycling and trash utility to accurately reflect the revenues and expenses for the year. With the expenses, we collect all the revenue and then we turn around and pay Waste Connections for their services. We never know at the beginning of the year exactly when we do the budget, how many customers there's going to be. So it's always kind of a guessing game. I think last year was the first year I didn't have to amend in 2021. So getting closer. And then the last fund is vehicle lease management. When we did the 2022 budget, we hadn't implemented that program yet. And so we need to amend it for the usage in 2022. So I asked that you open a public hearing and go from there.
All right. So at this time, we'll do just that. We'll open the public forum and take input from the public. We have any takers? No. All right, we'll close the public forum, right? I'm sorry, public hearing. 11-2, proposed amended budget.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the amended 2022 budget.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 12, work.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to remind everyone that Susan will need everybody's signatures at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. Workers' comp insurance 2022 renewal proposal with renewal proposal with executive summary, Chastity Page. Hey.
Mayor, Council Chastity Page, Director of Human Resources. As we discussed in the October council workshop, we are needing to look at moving our workers' comp insurance from Travelers Not only was Travelers no longer competitive, but because we moved our property and liability insurance from them back in April, they would no longer insure us for workers' compensation insurance. So we had Jesse Davis with ICI, our broker, go to market and see what we could come up with. And he was able to secure 3 quotes despite the limited number of vendors willing to take on governmental entities. So Dusty will go ahead and present his findings and make his recommendation as to who we should go with for insurance for 2023.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thanks for allowing me to present the work comp options for 2023. Chester gave a nice feedback there on where we were currently and what options we have moving forward on this. So we're hoping to get a comparison sheet together on the 3 options that we had. Just a couple of things that tie in this that I mentioned at the workshop, but last few, the experience mod has increased to a 154 from a 1.12. Payroll is up approximately 15% from the previous year. And then claims have also been a factor in what we looked at for the work comp. We were able to bid this to 3 different carriers, all of them that specialize in public entities. Most of them have up to 25 years in history of covering public entities. So with this, the 3 options we were able to secure is KMET. And this is who we were previously before Travelers for many years. They've been doing work comp for almost 30 years. I'm sure about 166 cities throughout Kansas. So truly their bread and butter and what they do and specialize in and all this. So they bring a lot of resources to the table as well. Risk management resources, claims manage it. So it's one of those things where they provided a nice option on this. They do have certain limitations they can do once your mod is above a certain factor. And that came into play based on the current mod that we have with for the city. Previsor is a company out of Missouri. They recently started doing business in Kansas the last 4 or 5 years, but they do have a mainstay in Missouri and a few surrounding states, but something they specialize in as well as the public entity, many value-added services as well, and a nice option they presented. The third option is EMC. That's currently who we have our property and casualty with, though we made that move back in April 1. They've been writing cities in Kansas for over 40 years. The regional office is in Wichita. They insure basically about 80% of the cities throughout Kansas. So truly another great option that we have on here. Part of that program is called the KUM program, Kansas Municipal Safety Group. And with that, as I mentioned back in April, you're part of the safety group that with the other responding cities throughout the Kansas. So you share in their the group as a whole, and throughout the premiums and losses, there are dividends paid to each city pro rata based on the portion of premium. So they paid dividends basically 38 of the last 40 years. And it's something that basically shows how good that program is based on the premiums and losses and the spread of risk throughout the entire state. So they do provide some nice loss control as well. Online trainings, EMC on-call nurse, which is a 800 number that you call if somebody's injured. And plus just overall loss control services that's based out of Wichita. Based on this, my recommendation, just knowing that you can see the premium comparison sheet that I put together on this. EMC was 185,766. Previsor was 184,187, and KMET was 200,016,779. So truly the EMC and Provisor are the two better options based off the premiums, knowing that all this premiums will be applied to the dividend program makes EMC probably makes EMC the choice based on future dividend earnings because of that program. And currently right now, since we made that move April 1, you're part of that program already to receive dividends in the future. What we've seen over the last 6 to 7 years, dividends have been averaging anywhere from like 15 to 18%. And that money goes directly back to each city correspondingly based on your premiums you pay. So estimates on that, roughly $30,000 that could be given back to the city based on just the work comp itself.
Right. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the purchase of workers' compensation insurance with EMC Insurance for the 2023 calendar year.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Dusty. That was good.
We're at 13 Village at Flint Hills Riverstone Reserve, PUD abandonment. And Les is going to speak to us about this.
The current owners of the subject property, which is located roughly at Andover Road and 130th Street, would like to abandon the planned unit development that was filed many years ago, something like 15 years ago, because it was a fairly restrictive PUD that was more for estate size of lots than the typical subdivision that we see come across the board. The current owners filed the required letter asking the city council for the official abandonment. City attorney prepared the ordinance required, and we're here to present that and recommend that you take that action on their behalf.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve an ordinance repealing the planned unit development overlay district PUD for the Riverstone Reserve preliminary plan unit development and reestablishing the applicable zoning regulations prior to the publication of ordinance 1360, which established the PUD.
Any further questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one.
Yes, sir.
Les or Lance, will this affect it being in the city at all? I mean, once it's in the city, it's in the city and.
No, the only effect here is kind of to reset the clock for zoning purposes.
Okay.
This actually reverts the zoning back to agriculture, so the owner will have to come back to the planning commission and eventually an ordinance will come to you changing the zoning to accommodate the single family subdivision they plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good question, Mr. Barry. Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 13th Street Sports Park Project, construction manager Seymour Contracts. And Rick Landreth will talk to us about that.
Mr. Mayor and Council, at a previous workshop, we had mentioned to the council that staff was actively engaging in RFQ process for a CMAR on 13th Street project. I remind you that the reasoning for that was that we got further into the construction document development phase, the the fluctuations in price materials and availabilities was an issue. Contractors have a better handle on what those are than the designers do. The designer was also getting some feedback from some of the construction companies that we would be hoping that would normally bid on it. Were indicating that in a normal design build that they don't know that they would be able to budget time out for that. Whereas if they had a going into the project a little earlier, they knew they could have that. Although we feel like our projects are always great projects, we'll always get an abundance of bidders. That was a little bit of a concern. And then obviously ongoing supply chain issues and timing of the project. Timing of the project is a big one on this one. As you guys recall, we only have one ball field at our disposal. So for us to just continually just say, we're going to take our time, build it like a normal project, like if you were starting out in the middle of a field, that would typically go through a season to let the grass set and grow and everything else. So all those things were discussed between us and PEC, and we became increasingly clear to us that probably the best way to go is with the CMAR type project, which is similar to what we have with the Andover Fire Station project. It inherently leads itself to some collaboration with the construction manager and the designer, so that we wouldn't get to a point where, say, hopefully you don't get to a point where you're bidding something and you just blow your budget and now you're starting from scratch all over. As you go along, the contractor can continue to give you updates on where your pricing should be and so forth. As a reminder, well, I'll get into that, I guess, in a second. So we went through the selection process. We had 4 companies selected. We sent out for quite a few RFQs. We had some companies that declined to submit RFQs. We ended up with 4 that submitted their RFQ. We decided to go ahead and interview all 4 because they were all 4 were qualified contractors. Mayor Price, Kirsten Barnes, the co-chair of the Parks and Rec, was on that along with staff. The review committee, we met over a period of 2 days and interviewed those 4 companies. The overall unanimous number 1 selection was Crossland. Their approach to timelines and methods and everything, and then their history with park construction was, I think, the leading factor for that, quite frankly. We did then, we did engage in the Crossland in the beginning of the negotiation phase for the CMAR fee, which is part of what we're bringing to you tonight. As a reminder, the CMAR fee for Andover Fire Station was a 0.185%. On this project, they're proposing a 2%. I would say that we did engage the other companies, just kind of, you know, hey, where would you think your CMAR fees would be? And all the other companies across the board were considerably higher than that. So I felt like, you know, the 2% is fair in that realm. We are at about 60% of the design phase. Crossland has already actively engaged to get up to speed with the designer and started having some meetings and started working towards some budgets. Later on, as you probably recall, in the fire station process, that's when we'll come back with a general construction max project cost, along with the general conditions and project costs for the contractor. And then that would be another chance for the council to approve or disapprove at those points too. So what all this tonight does really is set the 2% fee. I would also point out that this is exactly the same contract that was in the fire, just the CMAR fee, the date, and the project name, and subsidize my name for the fire chiefs is about the only changes on this, or are the only changes on this contract from the previous one. Also, Wade from Crossland is in attendance if anyone would have any questions for the contractor. If anyone has any questions, I can try to answer them.
You know when we're, Rick, do you know when we're, sorry, man.
Yes, sir.
Do you know when we're going to start breaking ground?
So
Just to get this thing going.
that's a very good question. And one of the things we're working with on Crossland and the designing firm, and then also with our community partners that range all the way down from the YMCA to the schools and our other entities that we play in our leagues with. We're trying to get it to where we can be off our fields at the end of May. So we could start construction at the end of May. Hopefully we can get sod in before the summer ends in time for that sod to root. And then we would stay off the field until mid-June by playing some other locations and such, and open the those fields for play in mid-June of 24. Yes, 24.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I guess, I was very privy to the fire station and, being able to see the designs. Do we have designs for the park already? I mean, is it set in stone and this is what we're doing? And
So we're at about 60%. So that's what the contractor's working on, the little tweaks here and there, like maybe some material changes and that kind of stuff. So, like on the fire station, we started at like almost ground zero, right? But this one, we're not able to start at that point. So that's why they've jumped right in and started right now trying to get caught up a little bit. But yeah, I'd say we're at 60%. We're hoping to be at around 90% and actually have the term, I'm learning all these terms, called GMAX, the GMAX price set early January. The other advantage to doing this is, one of our bigger pieces of play equipment in the playground portion of this, the manufacturer is telling us that there's going to be a price increase at the end of the year, beginning of the year. So by doing the GMAX portion, and if we get to this point, or not GMAX, but we get to this point, we can do an early bid package, kind of lock that price in, hopefully, and get ahead of the price increases.
so do you have the storyboards in your office, Rick, of, the conceptual drawings of it? Or I guess I only remember a workshop, I don't even know how long ago it was. So, I mean, we were talking about kind of what we were wanting, and I didn't realize we actually decided, what we wanted and how we wanted it. And
So the design has been based on the conceptual, and it's basically like the conceptual with some minor changes. But we do have we have a story map, this GIS story map that I can send you the link to.
Please do.
But yeah, it hasn't deviated from that very much at all. So there hasn't been very many changes from the conceptual design.
Okay. Has any one of the council members seen? I mean,
Yeah,
have you
I think
seen
it's
it?
online, isn't it?
Is it online?
It's not published online. I believe there's been some.
It's like, I know I missed a
minor updates.
workshop in July, so maybe that's when we did
It
that.
was
So
May 23rd.
was it May 23rd? Okay.
Yeah. Do you think maybe in the last meeting, I guess the workshop in January, we could just review it again?
Yep, the mayor sets the agenda for the workshop. If that's what you'd like to put on there, yes.
Yeah, I have no problem looking at it again. Keep it fresh in your mind.
Yeah, let's just look at it again.
So would you, so not everybody knows how your bidding process goes. So I want people to understand what I'd learned, that just because you're doing the job doesn't mean you get the bid for the job, and some of the self-perform. Could you explain that to us, the general public, the people, there's actually people listening on TV and what's what that?
So we have some phased GMP. It wouldn't be a GMP right out of the gate because we're not done with design yet, right? 6%, I can't set a GMP on that document. We would come with multiple packages with an overall budget and then competitively bid all those packages out to the entire community. Give them to Lance, get those advertised and follow all y'all's bidding guidelines. And then whatever the items we would personally bid on, we open those bids publicly. We open ours first, open their competitors second and third and fourth, however many might come after them to make sure it's fair. But yeah, it is definitely, even though you're selecting us, it is very much a competitive bid process. You're just selecting us to do that competitive bidding for you in a controlled manner.
In fact, you didn't get some of the bids you.
Got none of them.
Yeah, there you go. So I point that out for a reason. That's part of the reason, of one of the smaller reasons we went with y'all, but also you do some of your self-performing. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so, we do self-perform multiple things like, we do earthwork, we do some storm sewer, concrete, steel erection. One of the benefits we have is even if we're not low at bid day, we sign a subcontractor up, they come out, for whatever reason they stumble, we can step in and be a partner and help them get the project finished on time, and help you guys out too in that manner. So it's a benefit to be able to self-perform, not only make sure you have coverage at bid day on the packages, but to be able to step in if need be and assist our trade partners in getting the project done as we promised we would.
So you got 4 or 5 different contractors out there working, maybe who oversees it? Do you have
On-site superintendent, yes, sir.
every day?
Yeah, on-site superintendent watching the work, me back at the office watching the paperwork, plus Evan in our office also helping me watch the paperwork, and we'd have some folks out there in the field with our superintendent also observing those things. So multiple layers.
And I also want to state that their safety record was better than any of the others that were on the
Yeah, our
There-
EMR is about, we're like 0.65.
50. Yep.
0.65. So yeah, we're.
How do you say that? I always
0.65
mess up that acronym.
EMR, yeah, experience modifier rate.
All right. So there was a lot of reasons we went with them, but once, mostly that they, are open, or transparent on their bid process, and I like that. So any other one? I'm sorry, I took over. Anyone
Mr.
else have
Mayor,
any
thank you
questions?
for having them clarify. That is really good. Thank everybody. It's good for everyone that didn't know. Mr. Mayor, I'd move to approve A133, A201 and supplementary condition agreements with Crossland Construction Company, Inc. of Wichita, Kansas for construction manager at risk, or CMAR, services for the 13th Street Sports Park project, and authorize the mayor to sign the same.
Second.
Any further questions? Jenny? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Thanks, Wade.
Thank you, sir. Now get started. Get them ball diamonds going, all right? Red Bud Trail Restrooms bid award 15-1, and Rick again will speak to us about this.
So this project has been ongoing, or the attempt to get this project has been ongoing since, I think we started down the road in 2020. Bid it the first time in January of 21. Exceeded the funds. We had availability to fund it. Bid it again later in the second quarter, and it still exceeded the funds. And then since then, if you may recall, earlier this year, a few months back, I believe, I can't remember when it was, but we brought to council an agreement for another grant agreement for $38,000 from Kansas Wildlife and Parks for additional funding. And so that brought our total funding availability at the time to about $124,000 for the project. We then rebid it, ended up with 3 bids, and the low bidder was the previous low bidder. Again, it was, it went up a little bit from the last time we bid it, because the last 18 months we've seen some price increases. So, but didn't go, only went up 11% note. So 11% isn't terrible in that time period. So we think we finally got this project funded. So we'd like to proceed and build this bathroom. This is a single bathroom that goes in Redbud Trailhead Park. It's right there. I think it's at Main and the Redbud Trail. And it's something that we've been working on for quite some time. We have partners on this that are Kansas Wildlife and Parks and Artie. I'd like to point out Artie is donating $10,000 towards this bathroom. We also can utilize, we plan on using the balance of the $18,346. By doing the dock repairs as part of our CIP, we self-perform that in-house. We saved over $25,000 in that CIP item. So that money can be reutilized on this project. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer that.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Rick, first this, Where's the location of this going to be?
So Main and Redwood Trail, there's that little trailhead park, and there's the bathroom. I mean, the
Gazebo?
the shelter. It's immediately to the west of that shelter. It'll attach on. So if you're there at the shelter, you just take a few steps over to it.
So the water and the sewer really they don't have to be ran that far then.
So the contractor will have to run the water and sewer to the property line. And then we'll make the connections at that point.
Well, that's good that it's not that far. That it's not like a mile down the trail.
No, there's a sewer line on the south. I wish I could remember the name of the road that joins it on the south. But thank you. But there's a sewer main on there that we can come in on.
That's good. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to accept the lowest qualified bid from Artistic Builders, Mulvane, Kansas, in the not to exceed amount of $112,346 and reject all other bids and authorize the mayor to sign the contract for the Red Bud Trail restroom.
Second.
Any further questions?
Mr. Mayor, Rick, this is a single stall restroom
Yes.
for $112,000.
They're expensive. Every time you build a restroom, it's expensive, and it's been bid 3 times with multiple contractors bidding on it throughout the years. It's the cost of them, and I mean, I fully understand what you're saying. It does also have a drinking fountain, exterior drinking fountain on it, which is $13,000, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes it up.
If this wasn't funded by the state and several of these grants, I would definitely vote no. I mean, 113 grand for a bathroom is just way too much for a taxpayer's opinion. But with several grants and having the state step in and already stepping in and helping a little bit, I'll throw my favor to this. But 113 grand for a bathroom just seems way out of line for a taxpayer to foot the bill. So.
Is it structured as a tornado shelter?
It is not. That would have driven the cost up a fair amount more. It is a CMU block building, but it doesn't have a armored door on it or a concrete lid on top of it.
Is it going to be heated and aired, or is it going to be?
It does have, it is a 24/7, 365 bathroom. So it does have a small mechanical unit in it and that did drive some of the cost up too.
I'm sorry, I drew a blank. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. Building Stronger Economy Base Grants Resolution. Lance will speak to us on this.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as you guys will remember, in the summer of '22, the city was awarded $8.5 million for Building a Stronger Economy grant funding, or base grant. $4 million. So there was 2 projects that the city applied for and received funding for. $4 million of the 8.5 was for our Founders Parkway project, which is the backage road between Allen Street and Andover Road. And then the second project was for what we call the Northeast Andover Growth Area project. It was awarded $4.5 million, and it primarily consists of the extension of Yorktown Parkway from Central Avenue to 13th Street. Both projects are currently in the property acquisition and preliminary engineering stage. So we are working diligently on both of these projects. You'll remember that the grant program does have aggressive timelines. So as part of that base grant program, they do require a local match. So $1,333,333 is the required local match for the Founders Parkway project. And $1.5 million is the required local match for the Yorktown, the extension of Yorktown Parkway project. So based on these estimates, and we broke it down in those financial implications in the memo that you received, but based on our estimates, we're going to far exceed those minimum match requirements. So nonetheless, the Department of Commerce has asked that the city formally commit to these minimum local match requirements. So the resolution for your consideration tonight does exactly that. Any questions about the resolution, the projects, or the grant itself, I can definitely try to answer.
Who wrote the grant?
The grant applications, so city staff, a combination of city staff wrote those grants.
Lance is humble and he carried a lot of the heavy weight on that.
Say that again, Jenny.
Lance is being humble. You should give kudos to Lance.
He did the heavy lifting.
I had a lot of assistance.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution approving a finance plan for the Building a Stronger Economy Base grant for the city of Andover, Kansas.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 17 audit 2022, 17-1 letter of engagement. Donna will talk to us.
Before you tonight is a letter of engagement for the 2022 audit from George Bowerman, no, excuse me, they go by GBN now. They don't go by the old name anymore. I believe the cost, I don't have it in front of me, was 21,000. I think it's in the
Plus expenses.
plus expenses. This is the first increase since the 2020 audit. The 2020 and the 2021 audit were the same price, and this is like a 4% increase. So we're looking at engaging them for the 2022 audit. We are looking at, by May of 2023, putting this out for bid again, just to see what else is out there. I had hoped, there had been hopes that we would get that done this year, but with shortage of staff, it was one of those things that kind of fell by the wayside. So it will be done in 2023.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what does this audit actually do for the city? Donna?
It helps with our bond rates.
Okay.
We produce what's called the annual comprehensive financial report, which is used in all of our bond ratings. It's filed publicly so that all the rating agencies can see it. It's just one of, if we didn't have it, we would not be able to get the favorable interest rates that we get, and we would not get nearly as many bids.
Okay. So does not every city then do that?
They do audits, but not to the extent that ours does by doing the annual comprehensive financial report. They help with that process also in addition to doing the audit.
Thanks, Donna. Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to authorize the mayor and city administrator to sign the annual audit engagement letter with GBNPA.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 18, council meeting calendar, 18-1 proposed 2023.
Mr.
Mike,
Mayor.
you want to talk to us about
Oh.
that, buddy? We're gonna,
I think we made a small change on it last night for October. We moved the 30th and 31st to the 23rd and 24th, since that was a 5-week month, and that will allow people to participate or do whatever they want to on the 30th and 31st.
It's my way of getting out of candy, Mike.
Yeah.
all right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the calendar as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Thank you for catching that, by the way. It's a good idea. Appreciate it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0. 19, executive session, 19-1, land acquisition, KSA 75-4319B6.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move to recess into executive session for discussions relating to the acquisition of real property per KSA 75-4319B6. Session to include governing body, city attorney and associate city administrator, community development director, and assistant city administrator, and resume an open session at 8:35.
Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
I make a motion to come out of executive session. Aye. Mr. Mayor, I move to recess into executive session for discussions relating to the acquisition of real property per KSA 754319B6. Session to include governing body, city attorney and associate, city administrator, community development director, and assistant city administrator, and resume in open session at 8:47.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Run, Homer, run.
Move to come out of
The
executive
Jags are-
session.
Hey,
Oh, it wasn't over.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I move we engage the law firm of Trippett, Wolf and Garrettson or such other firm as selected by the city administrator to initiate necessary eminent domain proceedings to procure parcel number R23689 for development of necessary backage road improvements within the city of Andover, Kansas.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. All right. After that, member items, and we'll start with Tim.
I do not have any except Park and Rec and Rick and all your team. The park looks great with all the Christmas lights. It's very festive. It's great to be able to drive through it and see all the lights go. And it's always beautiful to be able to see that and tell people to come see it here in Andover. So he's too busy on his phone, but that's okay. Any word on the bucket truck?
I am told that they're optimistic it might show up before.
That's exciting. So
It is exciting.
What is that? Sorry?
the bucket truck. Oh, so I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We won't see each other until after that. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Tim.
I have nothing tonight.
Yeah, Troy has nothing.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
I mean, I could certainly wish everyone a Merry Christmas,
can
and
put it
Happy
there.
holidays,
There
stay
you go.
safe, warm. Stick with your family and friends, and finish the year strong.
Yeah, I'll ditto that as well, and y'all have safe travels wherever you go. This is our last meeting of the year, so we won't meet until 23. And I'm sure Tim would like to know basketball updates.
Sure. What is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Chief told me this is not right. So, okay. Come on, Chief.
So Andover girls won 50-46. Andover boys, Central boys, said it wrong. New guys scored reverse
In the third quarter, Jags are up 54-47.
The Jags.
Merry Christmas.
Homer, you got anything?
Shall we? And these guys?
We'll come
Yeah.
back this way.
No, hometown Christmas, man, it was awesome. Carriage ride, kids loved it. Coffee out there. It was fun. S'mores. The fire department was out there protecting all of us from the pokies and getting something in our eye. Kids had a blast. And it was just a good time. And do we know how much cans or anything was raised as far as food, Daniel? Do you know? No. Okay, it's fine. Okay. And then as far as update from the long-term recovery committee, was it the 7th? Awarded we're up to 131,000, a little over 131,000. For the year, we still have another meeting then on the 21st of December. So there'll still be hopefully maybe some more money going out. If anyone has any ideas for CHIP and the United Way, as far as getting a hold of people, it's, some people just aren't saying anything or coming to it. And
I do have one homer, and the only reason I know it is because I was at Green Vision today with Dr. Perlman, and we were talking about the tornado. She had no clue about the United Way, the funding. She has some patients that have mentioned that, they had roof, like major roof come, they needed some help, and she had no clue about that. I don't know how much more marketing we can do, but maybe if we hit up the local doctor's offices, that might be a way to say, hey, if you have any patients that need help, make them call, have them call 411, because she honestly had no clue about the 411.
211.
211. I said 411. Oh, sorry, 211. Whatever. Get information from 411. So, but no, that might be a good place to start, is local doctor's offices, just because she had no clue about 211. So
Get the 411.
yeah, get the 411 on the 211.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I don't know how I spaced this, but we had a very special ribbon cutting today at Sunflower Elementary for the 5th grade group that created a snack shack. It's an entrepreneur endeavor, and I was blessed to be a part of that. Not that I did a lot, but it was pretty amazing. These kids that were there are special and extremely smart. They did a great job of research. They did surveying of everybody, figure out what would sell, what wouldn't. They looked at other schools, visited other schools, see how they were doing. Andover State Bank was a big piece of that. They gave them a loan to be able to build their apparatus and get their initial inventory. And then there was a lot of sponsors. It was very special. And the ribbon cutting today, the chamber was there for that as well. It's nice.
Joe?
Is that sold to just the students then?
Yeah, I bet if you walked in the front door, they might sell you something. Yeah, but yeah, it's the students and teachers.
As you know, I spent some time with the airmen commanders out at the Air Force Base. Puts my mind for this holiday season about those serving our country who hold that line. We enjoy our Christmases, our police officers, our firefighters, our EMS, our retail workers that give us that quality of life that allows us to be safe. Just keep those people in your prayers. That's just a very touching part for me personally. I've worn the badge of crawled through fire, and I've got kids in the military. So for me, it's service oriented. Thank you guys.
Shelby?
I don't have the items.
And to Joe's point, Colonel Matt Vogel come out for the hometown Christmas and made a showing. He just wanted to be part of it, and he got a hold of me, see if it was okay. And I said, of course it's okay. So he got here a little late, but he was here just to support our city. I thought that was kind of cool. And, we said something the last 3 years have been a lot of work, and this year has been obviously a lot of work for staff and for the governing body and stuff, and for the things we're accomplishing. Y'all are to show the staff, the governing body. Y'all brought the city up to, with the TIF and all the other things we've done, man. That's pretty impressive. And you had to be. It takes a certain amount of bravery and courage, in my opinion, to pull a trigger like that. So I appreciate what y'all do. I know we butt heads sometimes, but man, together we've accomplished some really cool stuff that other cities are now wanting to replicate us. So I thank all of you, in spite of your mayor. So thank you very much, and have a Merry Christmas.
Mayor, I forgot to mention too, December 17th, he'll be doing wreaths across America as well at the Andover Cemetery. And Colonel Matt Basil will one of the honorary speakers there as they honor those who have fallen. It'll be this weekend.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Oh, go ahead. I would move to adjourn.
Okay. Any second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Y'all have a good Christmas.
Okay.